Hi friends, in today's video I'll be talking about what is an empathy map in UX, why should we create it and when should we create it. So before we start, just one request, if you have not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe and like the video and press the bell icon for more informative videos. As we all know, in UX everything surrounds around the user. So to know more about user behavior and his needs or his thought process, creating an empathy map is the first step before we actually create the user personas. So let's see, what is an empathy map. An empathy map is a complete visualization what we know about a particular type of user. It helps us to know more about the user needs and behavior. So typically there are 4 quadrants in empathy map. So here's an example of how a template would look like when we create an empathy map. So the first quadrant would say says, thinks, does and feels. And in the middle of the empathy map, there's a user persona. So the first quadrant, which is says quadrant, here the user says out loud in an interview. Like he would say, I'm confused from this step. I don't know what should I do in the next step, or this is something not reliable. So the second quadrant, which is thinks quadrant, here the user is thinking throughout the journey. What matters most to the user? That's what we want to know in this. Okay. So it might be possibility that the content in the says quadrant and the thinks quadrant can be similar. However, in think quadrant, the user might not able or willing to share or vocalize. So that's what we need to understand, why they are hesitant to share their thoughts. So the third quadrant, which is does quadrant, it shows a clear indication that how the user is performing that task, how the user is physically doing that task. So this is what we need to observe in this third quadrant, that is does quadrant. So user might click that button number of times, he might refresh that page number of times. The fourth quadrant is the feels quadrant. What makes that user get excited about? It's all about the user's emotional state. So here is an example of an empathy map for a user who wants to buy a TV. We can see all the 4 quadrants. After having a user interview, we can post our sticky notes based on our conversation and observation with the user. So let's see quickly the process of how to build an empathy map. So first step is to define scope and goals. So we need to know that who the user or persona will you map. Second would be define your primary purpose for an empathy mapping. Second would be gather materials. Materials like sticky notes, whiteboard should be readily available. Third would be collect your data. So gather the research that you'll be using to fuel your empathy map. As you know, empathy map is a qualitative research method. Then once done with the third step, we can individually generate sticky notes for each quadrant, and based on a conversation and observation, we can just put those sticky notes in the particular quadrant. So why to use an empathy map and the importance of empathy map? Using an empathy map, it helps us to discover weakness in our research. It also uncover user needs that the user themselves may not even aware of after having the conversation with them. Understanding what drives user behaviors. Thanks for watching the video, and please subscribe to my channel and press the like button. And if you have any comments, please share your comments below.